Good morning, and welcome to your daily Farm and Home Show, brought to you by the University of Kentucky Cooperative Extension Service. And now, here's your host.
Good morning and welcome to your Farm and Home Show. My name is Joanna, and this morning we're visiting with Dr. Kiersten Wise. She's with the University of Kentucky Extension Plant Pathologist there. Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, the other day we talked a little bit about fungicides on corn and how important timing was. But a lot of times we get questions is this really working? Is it really effective? And I'm sure you guys get that as well.
Right. So fungicides have been a very common input in corn production for the last 10 or so years, but it's also important to remember that they're not needed every year and in every field. And so there are some things that we can do to decide whether or not a fungicide is necessary. And I always tell farmers they can actually make that decision before that corn is even planted by just looking at what hybrid is going to go into a field and also what the previous crop and tillage conditions are. So many of our corn diseases, the organisms that cause those diseases are going to survive in soil and residue. So if you're in any minimum till or conservation tillage programs, you're probably going to be at higher risk for disease. Any continuous corn is also going to have more residue and therefore be a higher risk for disease pressure. And then the hybrid resistance to foliar diseases like gray leaf spot or northern corn leaf blight is also going to influence whether or not a fungicide application should happen. Hybrids that maybe have great yield packages but are a little weaker in the disease resistance would be areas that we would consider more likely to benefit from a fungicide application.
Yeah, and like you said, you can make some of those decisions ahead of time. Now, this year we had a little bit of a delayed planting. We've had some weather conditions, not near as bad as some of our neighbors out west, but does some of that play a factor as well?
Yes, so we think about what the conditions are and how we want to preserve yield potential, right? And some of our late planting does mean that some of our crops are going to be at higher risk for disease pressure. And it's not because they're more susceptible, it's just that they were planted when weather conditions are going to be more conducive, and maybe some of our corn hasn't gotten the greatest start, or at least a head start against some of these diseases. And so that's really where fungicides can come into play to protect some of the yield in those fields.
Yeah, and so this year it might be a year, if you've never used them before, just to maybe look and make some decisions. And I know that you have some tools to kind of help farmers make those decisions.
That's right. And so we would really advocate, especially this year, to scout prior to tasseling to see what kind of diseases are starting to form in that lower canopy. Diseases like gray leaf spot, they're going to start in the lower canopy and work their way up. So you do have time, if you see some out there, to make a decision. And tasseling really is that timing that we're going to aim for our applications. And then the question is always going to be, what should we spray, right? Because, you know, even a few years ago, there were just one or two products available or commonly available, and now we have lots of different fungicides that are available to use in corn. And so at the University of Kentucky and at a lot of the universities around the Midwest and Mid-South, we do efficacy trials to see how all of these products work against different diseases. And all of us corn pathologists, we meet somewhere every year and we hash out our trial ratings, and we come up with a fungicide efficacy guide that shows how these products, old and new, work against the common diseases that we see in our fields.
Okay, and I know you have a photo of what this guide kind of looks like and the different categories it has, all kinds of great information on this particular guide.
Right, so how we have this broken up is it's really divided up into the modes of action that are available. And it is important to think of modes of action because a lot of our research has now shown that what you spray, the mode of action that you spray, can influence whether or not we see an economic gain from our fungicide applications. And so, for example, we have some recent research that shows that our QY, or our strobilurin mode of action that we use in corn, it's very good against some of our corn diseases, but we're not as likely to see an economic benefit from applying those products as we are products that contain multiple modes of action. So maybe a QOI, strobilurin, plus a triazole, or a QOI plus an SDHI. We see more of a benefit when we're using more than one mode of action in this crop.
Okay, and you know, sometimes it's good just to see it all on paper so you can kind of compare one to another, and for us to keep good solid records on what we've done. Somebody might have applied, I hear, you know, I applied it last year, it didn't help me out, so I'm not going to do it again, but each year is a different situation. That's right, and a lot of our products are newer, and so many people maybe aren't as familiar with which mode of actions are in which products, or whether generics work as well as some of our newer compounds, and so this chart really breaks it up
up. It has the products by the mode of action, and it also has all of the efficacy rankings for our common diseases in Kentucky. So you can pick what you think you might be interested in spraying and see how it works against diseases that you've had in the past in your fields.
All right, well, great information. I appreciate you bringing that to us. And if you have any questions, make sure to contact your local extension office. Thanks for watching and have a great day.
If you have questions about today's topic, please call the Warren County Extension Office at the number on your screen. Thanks for watching and have a great day.